Vods. Hello everyone, my name is Veles Tarragon. I'm your resident Nature Dragon / amateur zoologist. And today, oh la la, today we're doing something that was in the work for quite some time, not gonna lie. It's the first volume of the Zoologist's notebook, aka simply, I'm gonna talk about animals because that's what I like. You get what I mean? So yeah. Hello, maybe. How are you doing? Hello. I see you have a lot of name for me. That's nice. I hope you're ready to learn stuff. Maybe. Well, I'm a bit stressed because I'm a bit scared of not being very good at teaching stuff, but also happy that finally I'm doing this. That's cool. So hopefully all is good. Yes, about animals. So I guess to explain a bit what's gonna happen, I've prepared a little presentation about 3 animals I've picked and did a lot of research on. So, I went quite in depth and stuff, and but I still try to make the what we're gonna see now easy to understand. I won't to do too much. Oh yeah, I mean, it's not PowerPoint, but close, It's gonna be a little bit better, hopefully. But it's close enough, alright? I mean, I did not really know how else to do it. But yeah. So, indeed, the first one, I guess I can already show it, just so you see what's gonna happen. But see, I'm gonna take out my notebook, of course. And the first animal I want to talk about today is gonna be the sugar glider. Ooh, yes, I know, look, a cutie. And I guess, for the lore enthusiasts among us, which I'm guessing there's not many, but it's fine, it's my actual notebook, I took out. You can't really see it, I don't think so, but it's on my waist. I have a notebook. It's a magical notebook where, stuff appears and disappears by magic. Don't ask, okay? It's how it is, but it's where I take all my notes. And so that is what I'm gonna be presenting today. I guess I can get into it unless you have questions or whatever about, I don't know, stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna try, to get on with it. Even if you have questions, though, you can still, ask them and stuff. I can stop to answer stuff. That is fine. And if for whatever reason you cannot stay for the entire stream, or if seeing this later or whatever, I will also have an edited version on my YouTube channel. So, go and follow that if you want to see the smaller format videos and stuff. But here, we're gonna really go in depth and stuff. Hope you're ready, and I hope I'm not gonna fuck it up. All right. Well, I guess before we start, you can hear the music, right? It's all good. All is working fine. This is my first time doing this, so, I hope it's fine. Okay. And you're ready to intake information and process it. All right. That's very nice. So, as this is also gonna go on the YouTube later. I'm gonna try and explain some concepts that may sound, you know, obvious to some of you. But at least the first time we come across some of those concepts, I will try to somewhat explain them in easy words and stuff, just in case. You never know. You never know who's watching, right? So that is gonna be my plan. So let's go with Petorus breviceps, aka the sugar glider. And already there, I guess, you know, maybe a little explanation. Why do we have two names for, you know, the little guy, the cute little guy in the picture here? The little guy we're gonna be talking about. Well, that is because sugar glider, of course, is its common name, you know, aka the one people use usually when talking about the animal. And that is also, it will be dependent on in what language you speak, I guess. So this one is its English name and stuff. But the one on top, like Petorus breviceps, is its Latin name, also called, yeah, scientific name, binomial name, whatever you want to call it, really. There's a bunch of names for that. And it's actual, it's very useful and very important to have, because the Latin name is used by scientists and, well, people like me talking about animals all around the world. It's like the same one. Hey, hello, Red Dragon, how are you doing? Hello, hello, I'm talking about animals and stuff today. So I will not be chatting as much, but because I need to, you know, explain and stuff, but happy to see you. And so, yeah, the Latin name, so it's the same everywhere. Everyone uses the same, and so if I talk about Petorus breviceps, you just know which exact species I'm talking about. Whereas if I say sugar glider, there are technically a bunch of species, or like different animals that look alike, but are not the same, but that also go by that same common name, you know, sugar gliders. And so that's why it's important to have the Latin name. And also it's Latin because, well, Latin is a dead language or whatever. I mean, don't ask me. No one uses it, so it's free real estate. And we took it now. Yes. So, the sugar glider is a small arboreal gliding possum that belongs to the marsupial infraclass. Arboreal here means, of course, it mostly lives in the trees. Gliding possum, well, you know, because it glides and stuff, it's in the name. And marsupial, as you likely already know, is like the same group where you will find stuff like the kangaroos and stuff. And so mostly animals from Australia. But I'll get into that a bit more later. Its habitat is mostly rainforests, eucalypt forests, and woodlands. So eucalypt forest, a bit like eucalyptus trees and stuff, so a bit like koalas and stuff. And it can also be rarely found, you know, in plantations and more rural areas. It's not too scared of humans, but yeah. So some sightings have been made in more closer to habitations and stuff. And you can find them to altitudes of 2,000 meters. Yes, the land down under, of course. So yeah, as you can see, you will only find sugar gliders in Australia, pretty much. There are some in New Guinea too. So the island, you know, to the north. Though I will get into it a bit later, but we are not absolutely certain of like the actual geographic repartition of sugar gliders. So it could be a lot smaller. It could be only like to the east of Australia and not like the north and stuff. But that is up to debate, as it is. You know, the scientists are not sure. That's gonna be a recurring theme, but yeah. We are not very sure of much a lot of the time when it comes to animals. It is how it is. So, you know, take everything I say with a grain of sand, I guess. And yeah, hopefully it's close enough. But yeah, they are mostly found in Australia, as are pretty much all marsupials, to be fair. You know, like kangaroos and stuff. There are some in South America, and of course the opossum in North America, but that is like pretty much all. So they're mostly in Australia. You have a wild hunch it's in some way is gonna turn out to be poisonous or venomous. Oh, well, sorry to disappoint, but I don't think that's the case for him. He's cute. Now, come on. Look at this cutie. How could he be mean? Come on now. All right, next page with more like very common information. You know, I'm always gonna have like the general information for every animal I will be talking about, because, well, I think it's important to have. And here on the top left, you have which groups it belongs to, which again maybe warrants a little explanation as it's the first time we're seeing this. So if you don't know, all animals, well, even all organisms, living organisms on the planet, have been grouped into groups by, you know, scientists and stuff. And those are the big groups that we usually use when grouping animals, except the infraclass, but this one is specific to this little guy. But for example, we always start with the domain, which is like the less specific group, if you want. There's only 3 of those, and it's like Eukaryota, which contains pretty much everything you are familiar with, like plants, mushrooms, animals, and stuff. And so, as I'm always talking about animals, will always be in that domain. And if you want to know, the other 2 domains are like bacterias and archaeas, which are close to bacterias too, which maybe one day I'll talk about, but not for now. So just remember, if it's an animal, it is in the Eukaryota domain. Then you have the kingdoms, which of course here will be the Animalia kingdom, containing all animals. With the there are a bunch, if I remember correctly, and like 2 other big ones, of course, are fungi and the plants. You know, those 2 are 2 other big kingdoms. But again, here it will always be Animalia, as we are talking about animals. It's in the name, you know. And then it gets a bit more interesting when we get to like phylum and stuff. In this case, we are in the Chordata phylum, which is again a more specific group that contains all animals that have a chord or not a chord, at least at some point in their development, which I won't go too much into the specific. Maybe that's like a topic for a later stream. But just so you know, yeah, that's like where you'll find most animals also you are familiar with, like the big ones. So like mammals, reptiles, fishes, that kind of stuff. With like other phylums, for example, are like arthropoda, with like insects and crabs and stuff. There's a phylum for like the sponges and stuff. So yeah, that's a bit like the very big divisions of animals. And then we get to the class Mammalia, which I'm sure you are familiar with, because I'm expecting, it's not sure, but I'm guessing you are a mammal, like a human, you know. So if you are in this class with this little guy. And in this case too, I have put the infraclass, which is, I won't put the infraclass every time. When you see stuff like infra or super order, for example, or stuff like that, you know, with usually it's even more specific, and it's not used for every animal. It's just in this case, it's important because, as you likely know that term, it's in the infraclass Marsupialia, aka it's a marsupial. So like kangaroos, opossums, wallabies, that kind of stuff. So like the mammals that have like a little pouch on their belly to keep like the babies and stuff. And like the other infraclass is like the placentals mammals, which contains, of course, you guys, right? Humans. And, well, all mammals with a placenta. Though even that is a bit complicated, because technically marsupials have a placenta, but go complain to like whoever, decided on those terms. It was not me, okay? I'm just here reporting stuff. And then we get even more specific groupings like the order Diprotodontia, the family Petoridae, and the genus Petorus. But those I won't, explain too much, because it gets more and more specific, like what characterizes those groups. And it's a bit too specific. Just know, yeah, this little guy is in those groups in order. And then you, of course, have the species, which is not really a group, like it's just this guy. So it's Breviceps in this case. And as you may have realized, its Latin name is, or like scientific name, is a combination of like the genus. So you can say it's like its surname, Petorus, and the species, like its name, Breviceps. And the reason we combine those two is because the species name can be the same for different animals. So, I mean, I'm gonna invent, here, but you could have, like, I don't know, crab, for example, also, with a species name Breviceps. Because those don't have to be, different. It's just how it is, because usually the people who, give the name to animals, they go like by characteristics of the animal and stuff. So if two animals, even in very different groupings, have the same characteristics, they can end up with the same species name. Also because I guess scientists don't want to like check every species name to make sure, they're not duplicating the name. I guess a bit like when you play an MMORPG. It's like you have to find a different name every time. It's like, it's annoying, okay? And so they decided not to do it. But at least the genus name, so the grouping just before that one has to be specific. And so that's why if you put those two together, then you are sure of which animal you're talking about. But don't use just the species name, or that could lead to confusion. Always put it with its genus name to have a binomial name, scientific name. Then I have also a common name, here the sugar glider, which, again, you have to be careful because common names can be the same for different species. Again, that's just the way people call the animal usually in their language. And that's gonna obviously change for each language, though some won't have a common name for the animal. Like if you don't have sugar gliders where you live, maybe you won't have a name for it. But yeah, that's a bit how it goes with common names. And that's also, again, why you don't use it when really trying to talk about an animal when you want to be specific. Because you don't know, you could, someone, hearing you say the common name could think you're talking about a different species. So you have to be careful. Also put the name in Japanese in case. I am a Seiso idol, so, I need my Japanese. Which is like Fukuro Momonga, something like that. Don't ask me what it means, I'm not sure. But, why not? It's cute. And then some more, normal information, general stuff. Its conservational status is of least concern, so don't worry. It's not gonna disappear anytime soon. Though there is an asterisk because, and I'll get a bit maybe into that later, but we're not actually sure of like his full geographic distribution. And it could be a lot smaller than we think, in which case it could be a bit more in danger from like bushfires and stuff like that. But for now, it's still least concern, last I checked, so hopefully we're good. Then its age can go from 5 to 14 years, though I think I even saw like 17 years in captivity. So 5 years to like 9 years is more the usual in the wilds. And above that, it's when kept in captivity. Its weight is 100 to 160 grams, so 3 to 6 ounces. Very small boy, right? And same with its height, 24 centimeters to 30 centimeters, 9 to 12 inches. I know that can be big, I know, but not in the case of a sugar glider, okay? That is not big. And yeah, it's omnivorous, arboreal, and nocturnal, to have like the big characteristic behavior of the animal. So omnivorous meaning it can eat anything, so be it plants, insects, and stuff like that. Arboreal again lives in the trees, and nocturnal means it lives mostly at night, just like me for real. Okay, I live at night too. You know how it is. But yes, this little guy too. Then we have here a little, little picture of one with, how can you identify, I guess, a sugar glider? It's not really that hard, right? But still, or like what are its characteristics, physical characteristics? So to start with, I guess we can see it has some big old eyes, right? That makes him very cute. I guess, yeah, it's one of the big reasons it's cute, right? But the reason it has those eyes is pretty much because it helps to see in the dark. Like, it's a thing you're gonna see a lot with, like, nocturnal animals. And yeah, that's pretty much the idea, right? It just helps him see in the dark. Same a bit with the ears, like it has some cute ears that can swivel because it will help him pinpoint a bit better, like, you know, sounds in the dark. Again, to try to alleviate the darkness problems. And it's a thing you will see a lot in nocturnal animals too. Then we have what is called a patagia, which is simply the you know, skin fold between like the legs that makes him glide and stuff. So it's just like, this is the technical term if you want to use it. It's the same, I think, in like flying squirrels and stuff. It's also called a patagia. But yeah, you know, we like as scientists to give name to stuff. But if you want to call it just skin, you know, it's fine. But it is a patagia. Then we have the marsupium, which is what characterizes, you know, animals in the Marsupialia infraclass, Marsupialia group. So all of them have that, so kangaroos too and stuff like that. And that's simply like the pouch. Now, again, it's like the technical term for the pouch in which the mom keep the babies in, you know, after their birth and stuff. Then it also has a prehensile tail, which helps him, you know, coil around like branches and stuff, you know, for support. A bit like monkeys. I think a lot of monkeys do that too. It has some counter-shaded fur, which is again a very usual thing to see in animals, really. A lot of animals in different groups have that. And so what it means it's like, it has like a dark coloring on its back and a lighter coloring on its front. I mean, you can't really see the back, I know, but yeah, and the idea is pretty much it helps him camouflage against like either the sky if you're looking from underneath or against the ground if you're looking from the top. Oh, and hello Shark! Yeah, hello! How are you doing? We are talking about animals today. It's maybe gonna be scuffed. I mean, it's the first time, but I need to do it, right? You're doing okay? Nice. Again, I won't chat too much. I'm gonna try to, you know, do this. And at the end, I'll do a little chatting session if you're still there. Scuffed equals funny? What do you mean? Oh, you've been sick for a week? Oh, that's unlucky. Sorry to hear that. Hopefully, you know, learning about animals will make you a bit better. Who knows? And yeah, to finish, we have chest gland. Multiple actually, but the easiest one to see is the one on its like neck. And there's like some more, I think there's one on his head, technically, just here. And two near its bum, to use the very technical term, yeah, its bum. And those are used to mark, you know, scents on like other individuals and stuff like that, but I'll talk about that a bit later. Up. So that's like the general information. Now, what does a sugar glider eat, you know? And what are its predators? I know it's sad to say, but of course, most animals get eaten by other animals. It is the cycle of life. It is how it is. But yeah, you know, I have to talk about it. Sorry if that upsets you. It's how it is. But first, you know, what does a sugar glider eat? Well, that's gonna depend on like the season. So in summer, like, yeah, summer, autumn, stuff like that, it's gonna eat actually a lot of insects. And small invertebrates too. And then when we get to like winter and stuff, you know, insects are a bit more scarce and stuff. And so then it will start eating stuff like sap from trees, nectar, pollen too, though that can also be more summer, but it's mostly sap in winter. Hence the name, you know, sugar glider. It's because they can glide with their patagia, you know, the skin between their feet, and they like sugars, aka sap in this case. And so because also they like to eat pollen, they are actually a pollinator of a certain, Banksia species, which is like a kind of flower you find in Australia. But that is interesting, because when we talk about pollinators, we think maybe more about stuff like bees and stuff, insects, but it can be bigger stuff. So in this case, sugar gliders are also pollinators. I'll talk quickly about the predators. I know it's sad, but yeah, one of the big predators of sugar gliders are the Ninox owl, goannas too, some sort of big lizard, and quoll, which are actually quite cute, I think, but yeah, they do be eating sugar gliders. Less cute in that case. It do be how it be. Maybe I'll talk about those, at a later date, but I won't go too much into detail. I don't need to tell you how exactly they kill those cuties. That would be mean. I'm good. So let's actually go next with the fact that they are actually highly social animals. So sugar gliders indeed live in colonies of up to like 7 adults, which is not too bad. Though I think it can be more, it can be less. It depends on like the groups and stuff. And there's usually like 2 dominant males at the same time, which is a bit, special. Usually there's only one. But in the case of sugar gliders, there's like 2 dominant males and stuff. They also engage in social grooming. So, they like groom the fur of each other's. A bit like you'll see usually monkeys do, chimpanzees and stuff like that. But those guys do it too. And they can mark the territory and members of the group with saliva and the scent, a certain scent that they create from like the sweat glands that we saw like just before. So that's like the main purpose of the sweat glands, is like to mark their territory. And also, I guess, fun fact, they are one of the very rare mammals that exhibits male parental care. Usually it's only like the mom who takes care of the kids, of course, but not in sugar gliders. With them, the dad is not a deadbeat. Who knew? It can happen. Yes. Actually, there's 2 dads, so, it's even more progressive, I guess, but why not? It's funny. And so they communicate with each other through vocalizations, visual signals, and of course, the scents and stuff. So complex chemical odors, which helps to mark territory, convey health of individuals, and mark rank. And so, yeah, you can see in the little photo, 2 little cuties in a tree. And also the fact that they take shelter during the day. Again, because they're nocturnal, they sleep in the day. And yeah, they take shelter then in tree hollows lined with leafy twigs. And ain't that cute? It's so cute. And then they go out at night and do stuff. But yeah, you know how it be. So yeah, other stuff about sugar gliders are that it's a popular exotic pet. Maybe more recently. I think it's pretty recent at least. Even more so in America. I know they've become a bit more of a pet. In Asia too, it's quite common. Though, again, I would not recommend, of course, doing it. Any exotic pet, actually, I would not recommend you to take. Unless you really know what you're doing, but even then. As, for example, with this guy, it's a social animal, so you would need to buy a lot of them for them to be happy, and that's not... even then, I would not recommend it. And interestingly enough, recent research even indicates that most pet sugar gliders in America are not even like the species they thought it was. And it's like actually a different one, like the Crafts glider. Like they're very similar, but it is funny how, people have been sold something and it's like, it's not the same one, technically, it's a different species. Understood, own 20 of them. I think that's too much, actually, but sure, I guess 10 of them is better. But still, I can't imagine how it would be chaos. Don't do it. Plus, they need, like, some specific food and stuff, so, I mean, come on now. Let them be shocked. Don't do it. Come on, my boy. And also, climate change equals bad, in case you did not know. But even more so for those little guys. Because, yeah, they are very sensitive to ecological disasters, mostly stuff like, the Australian bushfires of like 2020, 2018, I think, were like big ones that destroyed a lot of their habitat. And that can be a problem as I talked before. The distribution, geographic distribution may be a lot smaller than we thought, and so they may be even more impacted than previously thought. So hopefully they'll survive climate change and stuff. Oh, don't be sad, Chuck. I mean, come on. There's many animals you can have, you know, that are fine. But mammals are a bit iffy, you know? Social mammals, at least. At least, like, I don't know, take spiders and stuff. Exotic spiders. That's maybe a bit better. I don't know. Stuff like that. And much like rats, you take in a lot. Yeah, sure. It's not the same technically, you know, but sure. It's like flying rats, I guess. Good luck with that. Again, don't do it. Please, don't take exotic animals and stuff. Would be better. Up. The origin. Okay, yeah, why not? I'll put the origin here. I won't always put it because it's a bit hard to find that information for a lot of animals. But at least for sugar gliders, we know they likely originated in the Miocene period in New Guinea, aka a long time ago, but not that long, you know, like if you look at the image, like some stuff you should know is like the Jurassic period, right? Cretaceous, where we had dinosaurs and stuff. And so, yeah, they were actually a lot more recently they appeared. Of course, because, you know, mammals as a whole appeared a lot more recently than dinosaurs. And so that was like pretty much like, what, 23 million years ago? Something like that? It's a long time ago, but not that much, technically. Because as you can see, it goes back to like 2.5 billion years ago. Indeed. Okay, what are you guys even saying in my chat? Yandere Queen won't let me own a spider. Okay, well, I mean, unlucky. Better luck next time, I guess. But jumping spiders are cute, though. Come on now. Yeah, spiders scary. Ah, come on, Spirit Queen. They're so cute, though. Yeah, but spiders are cool and pretty low maintenance compared to some other critters. Well, yeah, they're extremely low maintenance if you compare them to sugar gliders, that's for sure. So, yeah. And so, here I also have some more in-depth facts. I don't know if I'll, you know, I won't speak too much about those. I'll just quickly say them. It's just, I find so many fun facts, you know, when I do research on animals, but a lot of those are a bit too specific for me to really go into it. So I've just put it here as like a more, well, in-depth. If you want to know, right? It's a bit what I'm doing. And we'll see how it goes. Maybe later I'll actually do those a bit better. Who knows? But for now, it's how it's gonna be. So the scientific name translates to short-headed rope dancer in reference to the canopy acrobatics. So yeah, the Breviceps species name. I don't know how that works, but sure. You have sexual dimorphism is present in the species. So, you know, that means a difference in physiological characteristics between males and females. And it's even more pronounced at higher altitudes, with the males being bigger usually, as it is the case in a lot of animals. The eyes are set far apart to help with triangulation. Yeah, that's a bit more technical, but what that means is also one of the reasons they have like big eyes that are so far apart. Maybe I can go back, see, like that. You know, it's like a big space between their eyes. And so that's to help them gauge the distances and stuff, like between one tree to the next, to help them glide smoothly from one to the other. They have opposable toe on each hind foot, which is, I guess, pretty interesting because that's not a thing you see a lot. Like only really monkeys, you know, have that kind of stuff. Oh, crap. No, spoiler. Oh, I almost spoiled the next one. Whew. We're not done yet. Come on now. Wait, you have an idea on how to bypass the spider ban? No, Veles makes a Pal World Zoo. That's a good idea. Okay, maybe, but not right now. Come on, guys. Here, I'm talking about real stuff, not Pal. Yeah, Pals and stuff. Maybe another day, you know. Yeah, they have opposable toe, which is pretty cool. Lets them like grab stuff, mostly grab branches and stuff. You know, I guess opposable toes appear a lot in arboreal mammals and stuff. Then the second and third digits, so in the feces, are fused in a grooming comb, which is like what they used for social grooming, comb the fur of each other. So like their toes actually evolved to do it, which is interesting. The fourth digit is elongated to extract insects from under tree bark. Also, it's a thing you see a lot with monkeys too, or like they use, branches and stuff to do it. Here, one of the toes is like long on purpose to do that, which is a bit weird when you think about it, but it's fine, 10 out of 10, then you can do all the PAL research, so we don't have to. Come on now, Ayo, I'm not doing your job for you. Come on, Chuck. Get good. Skill issue and stuff. Spicy information. I hesitated to put that kind of stuff. I don't know if Twitch is gonna be happy about me saying it. But it is a thing that comes up when you study animals. But females have 2 uteri, and males have a bifurcated penis. Yeah, they're weird like that. It's how it be. Some animals have some pretty weird genital stuff. And that's the case with those guys. Indeed, indeed. And so they usually give birth to 1 or 2 babies, also called joeys, with kangaroos and stuff. The gestation period is 15 to 17 days, which is not a lot at all, right? But that's pretty normal for marsupials. So even kangaroos don't have a big gestation period. And so the very, very small joey will crawl out pretty early on and go into the pouch, where it will stay for a long day, a long while, So here it's gonna be for it's gonna be in the pouch for 110 days, which is, a lot compared to the gestation period. But that's a bit how it works with marsupials. Of course, placental animals like us went the other way, where the baby stays in the womb a lot longer. And so, comes out more developed and stuff. And I guess, fun fact, yeah, the females can glide even while pregnant. Indeed. I guess some people had to research that. But it is how it is. Okay, what are you saying now? Note the fact he didn't openly accept, but he neither said nay. Sure. What if I am a visual learner? Again, get good, Chuck. What can I say? You need to get good, mate. Yeah. You did not even say hello to me last time I was on your stream, So come on now. How dare you? And I think that's most information for the sugar gliders. I don't know if you have any questions about him. Yeah, he got called out. I don't know if, anyone has any questions about sugar gliders before we go on the next one. I'm trying to think if I've not forgotten anything. You have a question of the group dynamic. Are the 2 males in the group related, or is it just 2 random males teaming up? Okay, that I'm not exactly sure. There's not been a lot of research on the actual relationships, but I don't think they're necessarily related. It's just both have the same social rank, so I think it's likely more about strength and stuff like that. But yeah, it's hard to say exactly how the 2 males are chosen. I would have to do even more research to try and find that out, though maybe that doesn't exist. That is a little problem, I guess, when talking about animals like that. Some information is pretty hard to find. But yeah, something like that. That makes sense. I just know that that's the case for lions when they team up. Oh yeah. Indeed, lions are usually brothers and stuff. But I don't think that's the case here. Could be wrong though, could be wrong again. Information is lacking on that front. So maybe it is a bit like that. Okay, I think that's all I need to say. That's all I'm thinking here. My brain is going in overdrive. No, I think that's most information about sugar gliders I could find. I mean, I could have put a lot more, but it would become a lot of very technical information or like anatomy stuff. Of course, is missing a lot, like internal anatomy, but I was not sure it would be that interesting. So again, of course, I'm open to feedback, you know. So if you think, you know, I should go more in depth into certain aspects of like an animal and stuff like that, don't hesitate to tell me, you know. And for the next time, I'll try to make it even better. But for now, let's go for the second animal. You know, already took like 40 minutes for one animal, so I guess that's not too bad. Yeah, it's a decent amount, right? Well, I hope so at least. And I hope it's easy to understand. Also, you know, don't be scared to ask if there's any word you don't understand and stuff like that. You know, I will explain it. Just in case. But let's go for the next one, which is, oh, I love this guy. Ooh, it's Heteroconga Hassie, aka the spotted garden eel. Oh, he's such a cutie. I first learned of him in like Animal Crossing, and since then, you know, he's like, ooh, I love him. And so yeah, let's talk about this little guy. Yes, eels, water noodle, indeed. You may also have seen some in like aquariums and stuff like that. I know there's a lot in Japanese aquariums, but not where I live, sadly. I've never seen one in real life. A bit sad, but maybe one day. So, the spotted garden eel, Heteroconga hassie, is a small small marine fish with a sedentary lifestyle. It mostly lives in like tropical and subtropical waters, on sandy flats and slopes bordering coral reefs. And as you can see, it's mostly found, well, near Australia again, near Japan, India, there's a bit near Madagascar, in the, oh god, I forgot the name now. I think there's some near the Black Sea and the canal here. I forgot the name, my bad. It's been a while. I'm bad like that, sorry. Slurp the noodle. Hey, oh, no, don't. Do not slurp the noodle, please. It's quite big, actually. Good luck if you really want to try. And it is found to depths of like 15 to 45 meters. So 50 to 150 feet. Not very deep down, because as we'll see, his way of like feeding and stuff requires him to not be too far down. So again, here we're gonna have like the very basic information with again which groups does he belong to. Again, we are in the domain Eukaryota, the kingdom Animalia, that doesn't change. Also in the phylum Chordata, you know, also with the chord and stuff. This time we are in the superclass Osteichthyes, which is where you will find all bony fishes, aka all fishes that are not like sharks and stuff. So sharks, rays, etc. are cartilaginous fishes. And so here we are in the bony fishes group, where you'll find, I guess, what you will mostly call fish, you know? So like clownfish and stuff like that, all of the things you'll see in coral reefs and stuff like that. That's their group. Then we are in the class Actinopteridae, the order Anguilliformes with like eels and stuff, the family Conchridae, the subfamily Heterocongrinae, which is where you'll find all the garden eels, the genus Heteroconga, and the species Hassie. So that's again its name. Common name, spotted garden eel. And in Japanese, why not? I think it's Chin-anago. Chin-anago. Don't ask me what it means, but yeah, that's how it is. Again, I like my Japanese. I'm learning Japanese, so that's why I put it there. I'm curious, you know. But don't ask what it means exactly. It's a mystery. Oh, and maybe also I forgot to explain for the sugar glider, but the name in parentheses here is the name of the first person or group of researchers that found and described the species. Now, that's not to mean that the animal was, you know, unknown before. You know, it's very, very likely that people living near places where you can find them already knew about them, you know, natives and stuff like that. It's just those guys were the first scientists to describe the animal. And so they got the, you know, the privilege of giving it its species name. and putting it in a specific genus. But yeah, so that's what it means. It's what the parentheses mean, and 1959 is when he was described. What are you guys saying? I wonder if I should really read chat or not when I do this. Maybe it's a bit... Maybe I should just explain stuff. But I don't want to go too fast either, so it's not too much information. So maybe some little breaks are not bad while I read a bit. Let me know, I guess. Well, this is an animal stream, not a geography stream. Yeah, indeed. I mean, I should know my geography a bit better, but yeah, it's not easy. Noodly noodle, so the noodle has a bone. Yeah, it has bones, a lot actually. We'll see that a bit after. Crunchy noted, al dente. You guys are just, damn. Stop wanting to eat the animals, please. Please, don't do it. I mean, it's gonna be bad in some cases, you know, so better not to try. Conservational status is of least concern, so no problems. We have loads of those little guys and they're not in danger at all. So that's pretty cool. The age, impressively enough, can go from 35 to 40 years. You know, it's quite a lot for like a garden eel. You maybe would not think it's so much, but yes. Their weight is 230 grams, 8 ounces. Wait, is it ounces? I'm not sure anymore. Is Oz ounces or it's not pounds, right? I'm not sure anymore. I'm not American. I put it in case, you know, any Americans are watching, but I guess you will know if you read it. And its height is 40 to 60 centimeters, so 16 to 24 inches. With most of it, I guess, you know, into the ground, so you won't see it. But it's how it is. It's actually quite big. I mean, long and stuff. Sure. And so it's a marine animal, meaning it lives in the ocean. It's burrowing. You know, it lives in a little hole it makes in the sand. And it is zooplanktivorous. I'll get into that a bit more when we get to its diet. But it eats zooplankton. Then some, like the general characteristics of how you can see, you know, what is a spotted garden eel. Well, it has an anguilliform body, aka, you know, an eel-like body. It is an eel, pretty much. So, yeah, very slender and stuff. It has some big eyes too, again, though this time not for the same reason. It's just that feeding on zooplankton, you know, it's mostly very small stuff. And big eyes let him spot more easily very small stuff. So that's like the reason it has those. Of course, it has a, you know, a long and thin body covered with a lot of small black spots. It, you know, that's why it's named the spotted garden eel. But it also has 3 big, you know, black spots that are actually how you can identify the species. Because there's a bunch of garden eels, other garden eels too have black spots on their body, but if you see one that has one large black spot at the front, you know, here, a second one a bit further back, and a third one that surrounds the anus, then it is specifically this species of garden eel. And the first black spot also identifies the gills opening, you know, it's like how fishes breathe and stuff. I won't go in too much into it again, that's likely gonna be future stream territory, but yeah. Then it also has very reduced fins on its caudal, you know, caudal fins and stuff. Even everywhere else, you know, if you think of a normal fish, you know, it has like fins a bit everywhere that helps him to swim and stuff. But of course, garden eels do not swim much and mostly stay in place, so they don't need that. And their tail, like the caudal fin and stuff, is very stiff and muscular, so they can dig into the sand to make their little burrow. So yeah, those are like the big characteristics. Then diet. Okay, here we are with the diet. So again, it's mostly zooplankton, aka stuff like amphipods, copepods, and water fleas, which I likely, you know, do streams about those sometime or whatever. But just so you know, zooplankton is a part of the plankton, which, if you don't know, is all the I guess, animals or plants and stuff that cannot go against the current. So that is what plankton is. It's not really a matter of size, because like stuff like jellyfishes, for example, even big ones, if they can't go against the current and so are a bit at the mercy of it, they are technically plankton too. But of course, a lot of it is very small. So like the three I have here are, you would have a hard time even seeing them with a naked eye, for example. So very small boys. But yeah, that's mostly what it eats. Hence why they are zooplanktivorous. And their predators, because they have some, again, I am sad to announce, they have stuff like the snake eel and the triggerfish that will eat them. And it's a bit fucked up. Like if I remember correctly, like snake eels can actually burrow underneath like garden eels to try and, you know, get them from behind pretty much, where they don't expect it. Which is impressive that they figured out how to do it, but it is sad because, you know, the water noodles are so cute. But well. Okay, so what are you saying now? That's some long spaghetti, not gonna lie. So they keep the Krabby Patty formula safe. Pretty much, I'd be quite concerned if they haven't had any predators by to be... Wait, what is TBH again? To be honest? Yeah, to be honest. Because that would mean there'd be way too much Wawa noodle. Yeah, that is fair. You know, it's very rare for something to don't have any predators. Unless it's like an apex predator, of course. But believe it or not, spotted garden eels are not apex predators. I know, weird. They look so fierce and stuff, but it is how it is. Alright, next door, a colony for you and me. So, as you likely know, if you've seen any in aquariums and stuff, you will usually find spotted garden eels, or even just garden eels in general, even other species and stuff. They live in big colonies, so you know it can go from hundreds to even thousands of individuals, like the biggest colonies of garden eels I've ever seen. Yeah, more than 1,000 individual, which is like a lot. Damn, would be so cool to find, right? Like almost garden eels to the horizon, if that makes sense, because it's in water. I guess maybe there's no horizon in the water, but you know how it is. It's fine. But yeah, it can get pretty big. And usually you'll all see them, you know, facing the direction of the current, like in the image, you know, all looking the same way because, of course, they're looking for stuff that is stuck in the current, like plankton. So yeah, they will do the same thing, you know. You can have like 15 eels per square meters, or per 11 squared feet. So they are quite close together. And the center of the colony is usually occupied by the largest male. So there is a bit of, I guess, fighting and stuff. Like they actually fight between each other when they're too close, and like the biggest and strongest boy, the strongest noodle wins and, you know, keeps its place or like goes towards the middle usually. Why exactly? I don't think we know. You would think, you know, maybe you would get more food at like the edges, though I'm guessing it's more of a, you are more safe in the middle. And it's also like females can go towards the middle to find the strongest males and stuff like that. So it does make some sense. But I don't think we are 100% sure of why. And talking about females, you know, trying to mate and stuff, while mating, they entwine their upper halves, as you can see in the picture, together with their tails remaining, but, you know, their tail remaining in the individual burrows. But, you know, it's pretty cute like that. And yeah, thank you, Calculum, for the follow. Thank you. So yeah, very cute, you know, they like entwine like that together. And they can stay that way for hours while fertilization is taking place. So yeah, they can do that for a while. Hello, Calculon. How are you doing? We are currently talking about garden eels. So cute. They're such cute little guys. I love them. I love them very much. And so yeah, they can do that for a while. Ah, you're doing good, nice. What about me? Well, I'm doing quite good. You know, first time I can talk about... I'm doing a stream like this where I talk about animals, and believe it or not, it is what I like. So yeah, that is very nice. Okay, now some more in-depth fact. There's loads actually for garden eels. I found a lot of interesting stuff, but you know, that did not warrant a page for them. So, the etymology of heteroconger, just in case, you know, it's from the Greek, heteros, other, and Latin conger, meaning conger. And conger just is another word for eel, pretty much. So it's like, they named it other eel. Yeah, like, scientists are not very creative sometimes, not gonna lie. It's like, hey, it's just another kind of eel, you know? Why bother making it any more complex than that? So yeah, the threat to humans is harmless, in case you were wondering, because I know they look like bloodthirsty animals, of course. But no, they are quite harmless. I just found it funny when I saw that, you know, yeah, as a fact on like some website. It was like, oh, it's harmless, just in case you did not know. But yeah, harmless. They adapted to live in more exposed sandy areas because of reduced competition with other fishes. So yeah, usually other kind of fishes you will find, you know, near coral reefs and stuff. And not so much in like just very sandy places because there's not much to eat. And also those type of places tend to have like stronger currents, which usually normal fishes don't like much. You know, it takes them too much energy to go against that current to like hunt for prey and stuff like that. And so that's why garden eels evolved to fill that niche, you know? So they don't have to expend too much energy because, well, they're mostly burrowed. And then they have access to different type, you know, a different source of food compared to other fishes. And so that's why they managed to thrive into a different place. They emerge about a third of their body out of their burrows while feeding, but it can vary depending on the force of the current. So that one is just... I read like a funny scientific paper where they put a bunch of garden eels into like a man-made, I guess, aquarium with a current, and they could manipulate the current, and they did like very serious, you know, research about what garden eels do in very strong currents and stuff. It is a bit funny how much work they put into that. Just to say like, okay, when there's too much current, they stop feeding. Else, they're fine. But yeah, you know, you can find a lot of stuff on the internet, weirdly enough. And I had to read a lot of very specific research materials and stuff, research papers, but that's also you know, what's fun. So yeah. And so yeah, if the flow of water gets too fast, they retract into the burrow as it becomes too difficult for them to feed. Makes sense, right? I mean, if it's way too fast, they can't even stay upright anymore. They're like, how do you say that? Hay in the wind, or whatever. These small nostrils are positioned in the center of the upper lip. Again, that's like just a fact I saw. Juveniles have a very thin and completely black body. So be wary if you see a completely black spotted garden eel. It's not always a different species. It's maybe just a juvenile, like a baby. I guess they must be quite efficient at conserving their energy. Oh yes, indeed. I guess the research where they put garden eels into, you know, a man-made current, they actually saw that depending on the current, they have a very specific portion of their body, you know, that they put out. So that depends on like the force of the current, and also like the angle at which their body will depend on the current. Also that they can maximize energy conservation. So yeah, you know, of course, you know, animals evolve to do some pretty impressive stuff like that. That can be actually very complex even if it does not look like it. So we were talking about bones before, you know, it's like bony fishes. Well, they have 163 vertebrae. But, you know, Like, that's a lot more than you have, all right? Again, you know, very long body equals very long, you know, the spinal cord and stuff. Which is pretty impressive. That's a lot. The caudal skeleton is highly reduced and fortified because, well, you know, compared to other fishes, they don't need to swim, so the intrinsic caudal musculature is reduced, and some of the muscles are even absent because they just don't need them, and so, yeah, evolution, you know, got away with them. You know, it was like, we don't need it, fuck off. Stuff like that. Oh, wiggly. Oh, indeed, they are wiggly boys. That's why we love them. And I think we have even more facts. I really got loads of facts for this one. They usually only leave their burrows to move closer to potential mates during mating season. So yeah, they like pretty much never move. You know, they make the little hole and then they're fine. No need to move anymore. If two males end up too close to one another, they may fight over territory and nearby females. So that's how, again, you end up with like the strongest males at the center of the colony. Garden eels are pelagic spawner, like a lot of, like a lot of fishes actually. So that means that they just, you know, release the eggs and sperm into the water, and then it's like, yeah, whatever happens, happens, you know. And then the babies actually just live in the, well, ocean, like in open waters and stuff. So that's what mostly pelagic means. So the like larvae and stuff won't live like on the sand like the adults do, and will just swim around in the currents and stuff and actually be part of the zooplankton. And so yeah, when the eggs hatch, the juvenile garden eels swim freely until they grow large enough to create their own burrows. Projectile thy spawn. Yeah, pretty much. A lot of marine animals do that. So yeah, think about that next time you go swim in the ocean, I guess. You know, it's full of a lot of cool stuff. Yeah. A leptocephalus, meaning slim head, is the flat and transparent larva of eels and of garden eels too. So yeah, the like photo at the bottom, that's a leptocephalus, which, funnily enough, I could not tell you of which species that is. That's like a big problem, which not a lot is known about those little guys. You know, the like juvenile version of garden eels, or even of eels in general. They're very hard to find, they're very small, and even when you do find them, it's very hard to say which species they are from. And I think at first, they were even thought to be a different species altogether. So yeah, leptocephalises were like considered to be a different species instead of like the juvenile version of an eel. It is only later, you know, that scientists realized that like, wait a second, that looks like an eel. Wait, maybe it's a baby eel. Yeah, well, weird, I know. But it is how it is. Also, I mean, it's a lot because of DNA analysis nowadays that we can find out that kind of stuff. But yeah, that's good. Oh, wait, no. To pressed without meaning to. Again, no spoilers. Come on now. There is also some sexual dimorphism. So again, you know, difference in physiology between males and females. With the male being much larger and his jaw sticking out further. So yeah, that's a way to know what kind of garden eel you have, I guess, if it's a male or female. Though again, not recommended to keep as pet, because yeah, it is rare to keep them as pet, as it is pretty difficult to recreate their natural environment, and they need to live in a big group. So yeah, you have to, if you want that as a pet, you need a colony of garden eels and strong current and stuff. So very not so easy. It's only feasible for like big aquariums and stuff. And the species was not discovered until scuba diving became popular. Also interesting. So that's actually a pretty recent discovery. Because I guess they're not like easily fishable. They don't really care about, you know, usual fishing stuff. They want just zooplanktons and stuff. So yeah, they were, I guess, pretty rare finds before and not really widely reported. And so it's only recently that they were actually discovered. All right. Oh, I guess Wait. Before that, any questions about garden eels before we get on to the next one? Again, I'll try to think if there's nothing else I can, explain. Veles shows cool animals. Also, Veles, don't keep them as pets, though. I mean, yeah. Come on now. It's just not a very good idea most of the time. Not gonna lie. Those little guys are better in nature. Come on now. Maybe. Something like that. But yeah, if there's no questions, let's go for the last one that I spoiled slightly. So can we farm them because they be a garden? You can try. Sure. You know what? You do you, Shock. You do you. You can try and farm garden eels if you want. Good luck, though. Again, you're gonna need some very specific conditions, though. And I'm guessing it's why it's not really a thing. I don't even know if anyone has ever eaten a garden eel, so, like, come on now. But you can try. It's fine. Infinite spaghetti glitch. I mean, maybe just in case it's not actual spaghetti. That's not pasta, alright? You can't eat that instead of pasta. That's not gonna taste the same. Just in case, alright? So we can make a garden salad with them. Sure. Goodness, you guys just want to eat the animals. What? Oh my goodness. Cursed ramen, yes. Yeah, actually it's like it's a common animal in Japan, so maybe, maybe it's been done, I don't know. Forbidden pasta. Again, do not eat the garden eels, okay? I will be mad. Look. I can be angry, okay, guys? I can be angry. Don't. Do not eat them, please. I will be very mad if you do so. Those are not pasta of any kind. Okay? Understood? Okay. Good enough. I mean, I'm not good at getting angry, I guess, but it's fine, Next and last one for today. We omnivore. We require sustenance. Yeah, well, you can eat so many stuff already. Come on. Don't eat garden eels. They're too cute. And so, yeah, the last animal for today. I decided to go for a pretty common animal. The first two ones were a bit more exotic, you could say. One being only in Australia, the other being a marine animal, more from like Japan and stuff like that. But now we are gonna talk about the old world swallowtail, aka Papilio macaron, which I would wager you likely have, seen in your life, or live in a place where you at least could see one. So they are pretty common. They're a bit rare, I guess, in terms of butterflies. You will not see them that much, but they are, as you can see, like on the map, they have a very wide distribution range. So it goes from the entirety of Europe and Eurasia to Japan, even a bit like North Africa, and funnily enough, also North America. Which is weird because, of course, its common name is the Old World Swallowtail, meaning, the European swallowtail. Usually, Old World refers to Europe, Asia, and stuff like that. And the New World is, North America and stuff. But you can still find them in North America. Again, whoever gave the common name to this guy fucked up bad. But too late. We have to use it now. And so, yeah, the Old World Swallowtail is the type species of the genus Papilio and is somewhat rare sight in much of the Palearctic and North America. And it's a butterfly, in case you did not know that. I'm sure it was obvious, but yeah, it's a butterfly. And here, the type species of the genus Papilio, that means that in the group Papilio, it's like the first species that was described and the one that is a bit linked to it. So sometimes species can move from a genus to another depending on DNA analysis and stuff. But in this case, you could not remove Papilio macaron from the Papilio genus because it is the species that goes with it. So yeah, you have to keep it in there, pretty much is what it means. And yeah, so its habitat is mostly alpine meadows, hillsides, even gardens, plus a lot of others depending on the subspecies. But mostly it lives at higher altitudes, which is also maybe why you would not have seen many. They can go to lower altitudes, but they do prefer living, you know, up mountains and stuff like that. So if you go trekking a bit, maybe you'll be more likely to see some. And again, yeah, they're not restricted to the old world, despite the common name. Someone fucked up. And they can be found up to 4,900 meters, which is a lot, okay? 16,000 feet in the Himalayas. So yeah, they can be very high up. Extremely high up even. Which is quite impressive for butterflies, I guess. But yeah, you can find them pretty much anywhere. Again, some general information about this little butterfly. We are still in the domain Eukaryota and the kingdom Animalia, as usual. But this time we're changing and we are in the phylum Arthropoda. So that's the phylum where you will, you know, find stuff like insects, crabs, lobsters, millipedes, centipedes, spiders, scorpions, that kind of stuff, right? And so more precisely here, we are in the class Insecta, which, as you can imagine, is where you find insects. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And then we are in the order Lepidoptera, which is where you find all butterflies and moths, the family Papilionidae and the genus Papilio, with like this species being the macaron. And it was discovered by Linnaeus in 1758, a long time ago. Or at least, again, described. Not discovered, I guess, but described. And yeah, Linnaeus is a very important guy, and you'll likely see his name in parentheses a lot of the time, for European animals at least. He like described most of them. He was quite a Chad, okay? Pretty much how it goes. And so the common name is Old World Swallowtail is like a big one. But it has more than that. Again, you can have more than one common name, even for one language in particular. So you also have common yellow swallowtail, or you can just name it the swallowtail. Or in Japanese, Kiageha. Again, don't know what that means, but it's how it's said, okay? Believe me, I know my Japanese a little bit. Okay, so its conservational status is of least concern. So no problems there. It is rarer than other butterflies, but again, it's mostly because of the type of habitats it likes to inhabit. But overall, it is of least concern because it has such a big range of distribution. The average lifespan is 3 months, though it can be a lot more if it is hibernating, which maybe I'll get a bit into that after. But yeah, butterflies can and will. Even so, a lot of other species can and will hibernate the winter. They weigh 0.5 gram, which is of course not a lot, 0.02 ounces, and their wingspan is 5.5 to 8.8 centimeters, 2.2 to 3.4 inches. So quite big for butterflies, actually. If I remember correctly, I think it's like for example, the biggest butterfly in the UK. Now, of course, there are some way bigger butterflies elsewhere in the world, but in Europe and in the UK, it's like one of the biggest butterflies you can see. So pretty cool. So it's a flying animal, of course, as you can imagine. It's a butterfly. It's a pollinator, like most butterflies do. And I put metamorphoses too in there because, as you also likely know, butterflies start off as caterpillars and metamorphose into butterflies, which again is a very complex thing that I will maybe do. I could do an entire stream on it, on how it works, but that would be for a later date. So yeah, it's the type species of the genus Papilio. And how can you recognize it? Well, it's a bit more complex than what I've put here because there's loads of subspecies with different colors and stuff. But at least, like, usually you can recognize it because it has like yellow wings with black vein markings. It has 6 blue spots on each hind wings, so 12 in total. and 1 red spot on each, so 2 red spots in total, and some protruding tails. And it's actually those tails that give it its name, common name, like the swallowtail, because supposedly those tails look like the tails of a bird of the same name, you know, swallows and stuff. They supposedly have, you know, something that looks a bit alike, so that's why they are named swallowtails. And the species name, so the Latin name, is named after Macaon, son of Asclepius, a figure in Greek mythology. Why? I don't know. Because, you know, Linnaeus was a funny guy, I guess. He was like, yeah, just give him that name. Why not? It sounds cool, I guess. It's all that matters sometimes. I don't think there's any link with, like, what, you know, this little guy is or what it does or whatever. It's just, sounds cool, I guess. Okay, so here we have some, you know, a bit like the life cycle of the butterfly. So, of course, well, at first, I guess I have a picture of the underside, just in case, you know, it's not that much different. And it's a bit of a, you know, dead specimen, so it lost its coloration a bit. Watch out for that. But I guess if you really need to identify a macaron like that, you have like its underside too. Then eggs are laid singly and are spherical, so, you know, little space like that. And it darkens in color as the larva inside it develops. Then you get a caterpillar that looks a bit like that. So, but that is like the final form of the caterpillar. Yes, it is a chubby boy indeed. Also, but though, watch out. I'll have another picture with like all the different stages of the caterpillar, because there are a bunch and they don't look all the same. But that is like the final stage at least, and the easiest one to see, I guess. And it can even protect itself using a large orange fork, also called an osmeterium, which protrudes behind its head. We don't really see it here, but it's like, yeah, a bit like an antenna if you want, an orange antenna. And I think another fun fact is like that it stings a lot. So be careful, I guess, if you don't take one in your hands. From what I understand, it stings very much so. And it's like, yeah, to protect it from potential predators. And when young, the caterpillar resembles a bird dropping, giving it camouflage. Less in its final form, but the first forms of the caterpillar, yeah, looks a lot like shit, pretty much. Which is a valid way of, you know, camouflaging yourself. If you look like shit, who is gonna try and eat you? You know, it makes sense. And then you also have the chrysalis. Again, if you want to, if you see one, then you know, it's this little guy. Though it's a bit hard to say by looking at chrysalises, you know, what butterfly it's supposed to be. But just in case, I put it there. A gladiatorial chubby boy. Forbidden gummy. Again, don't, please. We are not in the Lion King, please. You're not supposed to eat grubs and stuff. Come on. Spicy as well. It's not really spicy, more than stinky, I guess. But sure. I guess I'm not gonna try and stop you anymore. Just eat whatever you want. It's fine. It's fine. So, subspecies galore. Oh, yes, indeed. So there are quite a lot of subspecies of Papiliomacaon. Actually, 37 recognized subspecies according to the IUCN Red Data Book, which is like what you look for. Oh, what you look like, the book you use to see, yeah, how many subspecies there are and stuff. Like, it's the prime reference, though it's a bit older now, but still. And so, yeah, they recognized 37 subspecies, which is a lot. For example, like other animals with maybe somewhat known subspecies are like giraffes, for example. But they only have like 3 subspecies. So, you know, it's not that much. But here we have a butterfly with already 37 subspecies. But it's a lot more complex than that. Because the actual number is unknown. And the number can range from a handful of subspecies, like I think 4 is like the minimum, to more than 100 depending on the author. So yeah, that's also a problem because I guess you could ask, what is a subspecies exactly? And the answer is, who knows? I don't know. Nobody knows. I mean, of course, some, scientists have put forward definitions of what a subspecies is, but there's no actual consensus. So you can a bit say whatever you want, pretty much. Usually it's like they have to be different enough morphologically or in the way they do stuff. Also, they should, live in different places. It's usually also how you get new subspecies, geographic separation and stuff. What else? Also, DNA differences is a big one. But yeah, but even then, it's complicated, very much so, because again, you can get up to 100 different subspecies if you look at like different coloration and stuff. Even though technically those are not really different, like DNA-wise and stuff. So it can get complex. And actually, yeah, a recent study proposes that only a handful of described subspecies are genetically different enough to be considered as such. So yeah, it's like a 2022 research study. So that like most are not actual subspecies. I think there's like only 4. There's like one in Morocco. That's different. There's one in China, in the Himalayas, like very high up. There's one in Japan. The one in Japan is different enough, potentially. But like all the others, like 30 subspecies or whatever, are potentially not really subspecies. Though again, you can say whatever you want. No one can really say otherwise because no one knows for sure. Yeah. So you have to believe me, I guess. It's how it is. And yeah, it's also like a big research topic, papillomacaron and its subspecies in the field of speciation. Like a lot of studies have been made on them because you can actually see new species emerge in real time almost. Like the one from Japan, for example. If we wait enough, it will likely differentiate into its own species. Now, of course, I say in real time, but it can take a long-ass time for new species to arise. It could be thousands, if not, millions of years. So you will likely be dead before that. But still, that's still, a lot of research is made on that. And yeah, another reason there are so many subspecies, even though, it's not really warranted, if I remember correctly, is because in the ancient times, of the 18th century and stuff, like butterfly collection was already like a big thing, people who liked to collect all of the different forms and stuff, and the like big organization that handled the collection of specimens and stuff to sell to enthusiasts, of course, likely made up a lot of subspecies, so they could sell a lot more stuff for a better price. And later, scientists making research and stuff, took those made-up subspecies into account, and so it became like actual subspecies in the red data book, for example. But yeah, so in the end, capitalism wins again, I guess. Whatever. Life is complicated. Even then, yeah, also fun story, I guess, to show that I actually try and, research stuff. I tried to look into, these 37 recognized subspecies, because I first saw that number on the Wikipedia article, or not even, I think it was 41. And so, I went, I checked the sources and stuff. But the sources were saying 37 subspecies. So already I don't know what Wikipedia is, doing. It's like they just invented a number. I don't know. But even in that book, like the red data book actually is where, I saw the 37 number. They also had a source. And that source was obviously an old encyclopedia in Japanese, which you cannot find online anywhere. So I have no idea if that number is even correct. Again, no one knows, pretty much is what I'm trying to say. I guess I could have tried to get the Japanese book to see if there was a source even in that one. But, oh damn, bro, it's too much. It's complicated. Like, trying to find information and making sure it's all true is not easy. But, see, I'm doing my research for you guys, okay? I'm trying. But, yeah, there's loads of subspecies, is what you can remember, I guess. And so that's why also it's hard to actually identify sometimes the butterfly, because as you can see, the Hypocrates subspecies in Japan can look widely different, like a lot more dark and a lot more black. But it's still the same species. So you need to be careful when you identify insects and butterflies even more than other animals. This can happen a lot. Bam, bam, bam. Then I put here some of the host plants where you can find those butterflies, or I guess the caterpillars, which basically it depends on like where the butterfly lives. So in the UK, for example, it only feeds on milk parsley. In Europe, it feeds on a wide variety of umbelliferae. So that's stuff like the wild carrot, fennel, milk parsley. Well, again, that's in the UK. But yeah, it's stuff like carrots and stuff in Europe. In the Maltese Islands, it feeds, for example, on rue. So it can depend, you know, it tends to be on specific plants, but if those plants cannot be found in certain places, well, it will do with what it has. So like the UK or like the Maltese Islands. But yeah, okay. I guess you can plant some wild carrots in your garden if you want to try and get some swallowtails. Then we have the behavior of hilltopping. So what that is that the males of the species will congregate on hilltops where they fight for the most elevated territory. They're also not the only ones to do it. A lot of other butterflies do that, and even a lot of other insects. So it's a pretty known behavior. But they do that because the males that control the top, you know, of the hill, you know, the hilltop. So this territory will attract and therefore be able to mate with more females. So it's just a way for them to, again, try to mate with the strongest boy around. It happens a lot with animals. A male will also try to intimidate anything that can fly off his territory, even predators like dragonflies and birds, which usually ends badly. Yeah, it is sad, but yeah, they will try to fight a bird and get eaten. They're a bit dumb like that. You know, they're butterflies. What do you expect of them now? Come on. This behavior is also commonly seen in many other insects, including other butterflies, dragonflies, bumblebees, wasps, beetles, and flies. So yeah, loads of insects do it. And many authors consider this a form of lecking behavior. And a lek is an aggregation of male animals with the goal of attracting females. So you see that a lot in even more, you know, animals. So even mammals and stuff. It's a pretty reoccurring strategy for survival. And in this picture, of course, you can see a very fierce and bloody battle between competing males. Don't look too much though, it is very gory and stuff. That's one heck of a brave pair of paper wings, indeed. Oh yeah, they'll fight like an eagle if one dares to approach, you know. How dare you? I'm gonna fight you to the death. But yeah, I guess even you, if you try to go to the hilltop, maybe they're gonna attack you. Be wary, you never know, you never know. I don't know, you know, how strong you are. Maybe you can get killed by a butterfly. Could happen. Just be wary. Okay, and some more in-depth fact. The Osmeterium gives off a pungent smell similar to rotting pineapple. So that's like the fork on top of the caterpillar, you know, on top of its head. So yeah, that's like rotting pineapple. Stinky again, as I said. I'm not sure if I am falling off, but what exactly are butterfly wings made of? Ooh, that's a bit complex. But they're made of a lot loads of little scales. Going more in depth could be an actual episode in itself, I think, of like butterfly anatomy. So maybe, you know, we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, it is made of tons of little scales. And also there's also like internal stuff like veins and stuff, of course. But yeah, this is mostly what it is. Though I could not tell you right now the exact composition. Again, I would need to make a bit more research for that. Its common name comes from its resemblance to the birds of the same name. Yeah, I talked about that already. At lower elevations, these butterflies fly from March to September. At higher elevations, they are limited by the short summer seasons. So yeah, that will depend on where they are. The butterflies of the north usually have one brood, aka that's also called being univoltine, in May through July, while those of the south have 2 bivoltine or 3 broods, trivoltine. And in some places such as the UK, some will pupate, and emerge in the same year, and others will overwinter as pupae before emerging the following year, a situation known as being partially bivoltine. So yeah, depending on, again, the place where they live, you will have more than one generation of butterfly per year. With usually one of the generation of butterfly will be hibernating. Or in the case of the UK, they even hibernate as pupae, so chrysalis. So yeah, that's a bit how it goes. Then adults, particularly males, emit a fairly strong scent perceivable by humans. Okay, that one is a very weird fact, but I saw a research, study made by, scientists that was all about, can you smell butterflies? The answer is yes, you can. So yeah, I can say with certitude that you can smell butterfly. If you smell hard enough, I guess. I don't know if it's really that strong for us, but yeah, still. And it likely, helps females find males and stuff like that. They do be musky boys, I guess. Though I could not tell you what kind of scent that is exactly. Is it musky? Maybe. Maybe it's very sweet. Who knows? And a mutation or variation on swallowtail's natural color is the occasional butterfly that displays melanism, a black coloration on the wings rather than yellow. So yeah, and you have a lot more variation and mutations. Again, that gives you the numerous subspecies that have been recorded. Then, okay, that is maybe almost too in-depth information, but it can be distinguished from Papilio hospiton, so another species of the genus Papilio, which occurs sympatrically with it. So that means they live in the same region, so they can like see each other. So sympatrically with it on Corsica and Sardinia by the longer tails on the hind wings. So that's more to say that, sometimes, you have to be careful because different species can look very much alike. So in this case, it's only the tails that are slightly longer. That's like the only difference. And also with the Algerian species Papilio saharae, you can only differentiate them by counting the segments on the antennae, even more specific. So it's impossible to tell them apart without actually counting, which is, makes stuff a bit hard, but, it's fine. Makes my job harder to identify animals, but, well, it'll be how it be. At least you have a physical character here. I know in some species, sometimes they look so much alike you can only, tell by DNA analysis and stuff, and that's fucked up. But that's for another time, I guess. In some countries, the swallowtail and its subspecies are protected by law, so I guess watch out. If you live in a place where that is the case, don't kill one, I guess. Bad idea. It's also the national butterfly of Estonia, where it was named Butterfly of the Year in 2018. So yeah, funny fact, I guess. It's a national butterfly of Estonia. I did not know they had a national butterfly, but why not? Why not? I wonder if more countries have national butterflies, but I don't really know. And the common name swallowtail applies to all members of the family, but Papiliomacaon was the first to be given the name. So yeah, again, be careful if you call something a swallowtail. It can be a wide number of different species. And that's why it's better to call it Papiliomacaon if you want to be sure. It can easily be bred in captivity. That is just a cool fact, but presumably an isolation mechanism exists in China where populations above 4,000 meters, so 13,100 feet above sea level, are isolated from lowland populations by a layer of monsoon clouds. So yeah, you could actually get a new species, I guess, of butterfly, because some butterflies have been isolated by clouds, which is a pretty rare isolation mechanism to create new species. You know, usually it's more like mountain ranges, seas, stuff like that. In that case, it's just clouds are enough, you know. But I guess for a butterfly, clouds are pretty daunting, I guess, to go through. So understandable. I also have like, yeah, some pictures here, again, of like the different stages of the caterpillar, which I talked about before. And those stages are called instar, in case you did not know, with the adult being called an imago also. So an imago, you know, will make an egg, then you have a first instar, second instar, third instar, fourth instar, fifth instar, which is like the big boy I showed just before, which becomes a pupa or chrysalis, and then becomes an adult or imago. So that's a bit how the life cycle of butterflies goes usually too, you know, it's not only Papiliomacaon, though the number of instars will change depending on the species. Oh, actually, fun fact, it is protected by law in here. Yeah, see? Yeah, a bunch of countries have protected it, as it is, again, a bit more rare than other butterflies. And last fun fact, I guess, is that the swallowtail has been through a bunch of different common names, in the UK at least. But I'm guessing maybe in different places too. So for example, in 1699, its common name was the Royal William. Not at all the same, right? In 1742, it was the Swallowtail. You know, so it went to Swallowtail once. Then it went back to being called the Queen in 1832. Then the Swallowtail butterfly again in 1860. And then the common Swallowtail, as it is now in 1959. So again, you have to be careful, I guess, if you're reading old books and stuff. You know, if it talks about a Royal William, it's like, it could be this guy. It's not a different species. And so yeah, that can happen. That's why, again, common names are not very good when talking and trying to be precise about what you're talking about, you know, when talking about animals and stuff. So that's why using the Latin name is better. Oh, and I guess we are done for this little stream. I guess first maybe some questions, potentially. And then I will be ending this. I mean, we'll go to a chatting screen anyway, so we can chat a bit. But if you have any questions, you know, while you can think about them, why not? Or you can wait. Have water. Oh, don't worry, I'm drinking at the same time. Actually, it took like what? Almost 2 hours. It's fine. I was expecting more. And then stretch. Oh, come on now. Come on. See? I can stretch. Okay. Well, I guess if you don't have a question like that, let's go. I'll quickly show the sources, which I guess you cannot really go and check like that. I'll try to put them somewhere. At least, again, I'll be doing a more edited, shorter version for my YouTube channel, and I'll put the sources there. So if you want to check, you know, some stuff, that's not like all I checked. Those are just the scientific papers I read and, you know, took some information from. I read a lot more scientific papers than that, but most of them had no like useful information for me to put, or like it was too specific and stuff. But yeah, so those are some of those I read. You know, so like the effects of prey density and flow speed on plankton feeding by garden eels. That's like the one where they created an entire man-made current aquarium and stuff. Sometimes it's like funny to read, I'm not gonna lie. And also, yeah, some sources for the old world swallowtail, like this one with the subspecies was an interesting read. So, you know, if you want to check it out, I would recommend. It's pretty cool. But yeah, that will be all for this stream. This is the end. Oh, we got there. Whose tail did it swallow, though? Good question. Good question, indeed. Well, some mysteries are not meant to be answered. I guess it is how it is. But with this, I'm gonna go, I guess, to the chatting screen, which, you know, secret. Oh, I rarely go here. Damn, look at this. New place. Though I guess I can go back if you have questions again, but yeah. That was cool. I mean, I hope it was not too scuffed. Leaf, yes, loads of leaves. Yeah, I hope it was not too scuffed. And you did learn at least something, maybe? It was pretty informative. Okay, that's nice. Though, was it not too boring? Maybe, you know, that's the thing I need to look into. Like, I'm not sure right now how I'm gonna do this. Of course, it was like the first version. And, you know, I'm open to feedback. Actually, I even need feedback so I can make this better. So if you have any, you know, don't hesitate. You know, should I go faster, slower? Should I remove some of the too specific information and stuff like that? Albeit, I'd say the butterfly had way more info about it compared to other entities. Yeah, that's a problem more of like the swallowtail has been around in the scientific community, or has been known about in the scientific community for like a lot longer, and has been like a big research subject, even more so in the field of speciation. And, you know, it's in Europe too, so it's just by that simple, how do I say that? By that simple fact, it's a lot more known and researched. And so there's a lot more information about the swallowtail, for example, than the other two combined. So yeah, that's a bit why there's more information. Though I did try to find as many as I could for the other two more exotic animals too. But yeah, all in all, good. Well, that's nice. That's nice. I guess now I'll need to, do an edited version for my YouTube channel, which maybe will be better for people that don't have time for an actual stream. But I also wanted to do it as a stream because I think it's nice, so, you know, I can answer questions and stuff while doing it. Though, I'm not gonna lie, for this one, it has been a while since I, like, prepared the, like, presentation and stuff, and I did the research. And so, yeah, I forgot a bit about a lot of the stuff I read at the time. So it was a bit hard to answer questions. I would have liked to be able to answer it better some, but hey, I tried. But at least next one, I'll try to be a lot quicker to do it. And so hopefully I'll be able to answer a bit better too. 2 horses is also a decent time for some animal education. Maybe adding slight pauses in between the different entities. I like how you call them entities. The different animals. Okay. Yeah, that is an idea, I guess. That is true. So yeah, maybe doing a little pause. That is not a bad idea, right. I'll try to do that for the next one. Maybe I can even come to chatting like this while, you know, so we can chat a bit about one animal and then I go to the next. Could work. This could be an idea. What else? What can I think of? Oh yeah, I was wondering... Yeah, so it ain't info, and people could have time to ask, relax, and process. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. And I was wondering, should I try to put some videos in the presentation or not? I thought about it, but I was a bit scared it was gonna be a bit too complicated to handle. And also, you know, DMCA stuff. I mean, already with the images, technically, I'm not really giving like credit for every images I'm using because it would be a bit complicated. But even videos could be more of a problem, I guess, in that sense, with like copyright and stuff. So that's why I did not do it. I wasn't sure. But I guess, yeah, it could be cool. Yeah, okay. Images are good enough. That's already a start. Yeah, okay. I'll have to see then. Well, okay. Don't know if you want to talk about anything else. I guess I can stay for like 10 more minutes or whatever. Still have some time. You know, before we hit the 2 hours mark. Oh, your EP. Alright, well, you can go to sleep. It's fine. Also, I guess if you want, you know, to give a potentially new animal, like one of the next animal I should talk about. You know, if there's any you want to see talked about. Or you just, maybe one you want to learn about, I don't know. You know, I'll do the research and stuff. Or I'll just, you know, find some decent thing before sleep is having some info to proceed. A process, yes. I can imagine. You're gonna be dreaming about garden eels now. The forbidden spaghetti. Very spooky. Bam 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 badam bam bada bada bap bap bam. Bam 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 badam. Do do do. Do 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 do. As for animals, make it a mystery. Maybe start with animals you're more familiar with. Oh yeah, that's what I did pretty much. Like the only animal I announced in advance was the sugar glider. The other two were mysteries. Indeed. But I mean, still, you know, if you have one you want, you know, I can, you know, put it in the list of animals to do. Because I already have tons of animals I want to talk about. But yeah, I could put one you want, you know, a bit higher up on the list. Do 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 do. Legless lizards are pretty cool, I guess. Alright, alright. And interesting as well. Yes, yes. But I'll have to do also some animals that you likely don't know about. That would be cool. Because I'm expecting today you knew all of the animals, you know, before already. Because, I mean, they're pretty popular, I guess. Because he just decided to give up leg to become noodle. Oh, yes. I mean, who wouldn't? Come on. Who wouldn't be a noodle? It's very important. Yeah, you did knew about Sugar Glider a little. Yeah. But, you know, that was expected. But that's also why I chose them. I took like some, well, exotic animals, I guess, for most people, but that are still popular. But I'll have to do like sometimes a very weird one. Crustaceans maybe as well. Yeah, there's loads of potential crustaceans. Or barnacles could be funny, I guess. Because I guess most people don't really know what a barnacle is. Like, it's a bit weirder than you would imagine. But even then, there's a lot of other stuff, like, if we go more towards jellyfishes and stuff, there are some, like the man of war, for example, right? It's like a colony of jellyfish, technically. And there are others in that, of that type that are even weirder than the man of war. Like siphonophores and stuff, which I would really like to do one on. And you still don't quite understand sea cucumbers. Oh, yeah, that's one I'll likely do too. They're not very complex though. Don't worry, it's fine. It should be easy enough. Bam bam. Well, crinoids too would be nice. They're like the flowers of the sea. That I don't think many people know about. Well, they ain't. They're like mostly stomach, right? Yeah, mostly. But they are in the same group as like starfishes and stuff, which are also not very complicated. They are overall pretty simple animals. It's mostly funny because, yeah, fishes can live in their ass. You know, that is funny, okay? Bam, bada, bow. Do 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 do. Bada ba bada bada ba bam bow. Having fish is pretty good idea as well. Wait, having fish? Because we rarely see fish. Fish? What is fish? Fish. Okay, yeah, fish. Okay, yeah. Yeah, but I did one today. So that's already one. And there should be some cool ones to do, like coelacanths too could be nice. You know, they are quite weird fishes. Electric eels too could be interesting. They're a bit different than usual fishes too. Oh, what's the name again? The king of harangues. Cool. Sicilians, yeah, maybe too. But those are not fishes, right? That's like also worm-like creatures. You do like your worms. You know, I realize you like worms. Feels like. Or worm-like creatures. Those are pretty interesting creatures. Yeah. Noodle is cool. Indeed. Yes. Oh, I mean, still, I'm happy to at least have done it. You know, it was in the work for a while. I was a bit scared of doing it because I was a bit scared it was gonna be a bit shit. But I think it went alright for a first, you know, version of it, I guess. So yeah, I'm happy to have finally done it. Whew. It was a bit stressful, but it's fine. Plus, noodle is very efficient composition. Sure, yeah. For an animal, I mean. Well, for pasta too, it's very efficient. You know, yeah. But yes, indeed. There are a lot of worm-like animals. Yeah, so that is a thing that works. Yeah. Being round and very long. Useful. It's not the best, I guess, but, well, it works. But you don't see a lot of very complex animals being noodle-like, except serpents, I guess. And legless lizards. Snails could be cool, yeah. Indeed. Oh, I guess even sea snails could be cool too. You know, like the very colorful ones. Those are nice. Also, I have to do, I guess, octopus, you know, squid. Nautilus too could be nice. Horseshoe crabs are nice. Oh, there's so many. We're not done yet, right? It's gonna take so long to do everything. Good luck me, I guess. So much to see and do and stuff. All animal, cool, yes. Even dinosaurs and stuff could be nice, or like, you know, Cambrian aquatic stuff. Like very old stuff like that could be very nice. And technically nothing stops me from later doing that for plants, animal, fungi, even like bacteria and stuff could work. I'm a bit less accustomed to those, but, you know, with a bit of research, it could be done. And I'll also try to do some more general zoology stuff stream. So, you know, talking about more like anatomy of certain groups of animals and stuff. Yeah, stuff like that. or even just talking about a specific group like mammals, you know, like what is a mammal, you know, what are the characteristics of a mammal, and stuff like that. Just more general stuff that I don't really go into when I speak about a specific animal, but yeah, that could be interesting. You know, even stuff like how do horns form, you know, what is hair, skin, you know, nails and stuff, teeth, you know, could be stuff like that. Or even like how did we evolve, like our jaw, for example, or like our ears, you know. Those are, you know, there's interesting stuff in there, but it's a bit more, you know, specialized, I guess. So I guess we'll see, but that could be interesting. You just need to figure out if you want to talk about things that still exist or the extinct species, because those can be pretty interesting to learn about as well. Yeah, I'll likely do some even extinct stuff, like the very first animals we have discovered, for example, are pretty cool. There are some pretty weird fossils that have been found, though finding information for that will be a bit harder. But I can try. In any case, have luck. Good fun, me EP. Okay, but I'm gonna stop anyway. It is exactly 11 PM, so I'm gonna end for today. Yeah, so sleep well, I guess, maybe. Thank you for, you know, being here the entire stream and chatting, always nice. And everyone else too, of course. You know, we had a bunch of people today for the big stream, so that is nice. I think it's actually like a record almost, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, next stream will be as usual on Monday, with more Subnautica actually. I mean, you were not there yesterday, but I actually did not finish Subnautica. It took too long, so I think the last Subnautica stream will be on Monday, 9 PM CEST, as usual. So maybe see you there. But that's gonna be all for me today. Thank you everyone for coming by and watching. And I'll see you another time. Thank for stream as well. I wasn't there because I was too late to come home in the first place. Lol. Oh yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. You don't have to be here, you know, every time. I'm happy if you are, of course, but I can stream by myself too. I'm used to it. It's alright. But okay. See you next time. Bye bye. See ya.